It's my honor and my privilege to introduce my dear friend, Dianne Stewart Hamlin. And I won't give you lots of facts. Reverend Faith gave us some facts, and I will repeat it for those who came after that little introduction. Dianne began taking classes at the Celebration Center, and Reverend Faith was privileged to be her first instructor in Foundations. Reverend Faith witnessed her courage, strength, determination, and willingness through the years. Two beautiful girls came along, and eventually Dianne returned to California, where she went through another practitioner studies. She then returned to our area and is supporting the Center for Spiritual Living in D.C. And Reverend Faith is excited to welcome her Sunday and hear her wisdom. Mm-hmm. And from myself, I just would love to add that Dianne is a prayer warrior. If you need a strong prayer, take Dianne's phone number. Call her, make an appointment, meet her. Just, hear her over the phone, and your life will be changed. It will never be the same. I know that. Dianne and I went together paths through did the practitioner training together. And took lots of classes. Dianne is an amazing spiritual being. She's, I would say that, she's a mother of 3, but has 2 children. Yes. She's Black woman, but not African American. She's Jamaican. She writes and speaks beautifully in English, but she's not a native speaker. Dianne has so many connections with all of us. So she's like spiritual octopus. And she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. So please help me to welcome Dianne Stewart Hamlin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That's big. Just put it there. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Reverend Faith.
Thank you.
What a journey with you. Amy, thank you so much. I thank this community. And I was saying to Reverend Faith this morning that when I get off the highway on exit 50 and start doing that loop around, I always have this vital sense of returning home. It's like a homecoming energy and vibration for me. Because, I started my journey in this teaching in 1993 at Agape International Spiritual Center. And then in 98, I moved here to go to law school. And the only center was this center. And the 2 people that I remember the most was Duke, who's still sitting here, and Thelma, Miss Thelma, who was here with us for many years before she made her transition. And I just remember thinking how far it was and inconvenient that I had to drive all the way to Wisconsin and get on the Beltway and come here. But I did. I came, and I came, and I came. And I have gone through so much in this community. And Irina is right. I am mother of 3. When my son died, this is the community that held me up. So I've been through a lot in this community. When my children came into the world alive, this is the community where they ran around and made lots of noise. And this is the community that they started their own journey in as well. And I've had many, many transitions in this community in my own life, many growth experiences in my own life. And a lot of times when I have fallen in very undignified ways and have had to go in to the truth, back to the beginning of who and what I am in this community, as this community held me up. And so listening to this song, stand still and be your own salvation. What? Stand still and be your own salvation. Not anyone else is going to save you from the truth of how you're to live your life and the journey. And there's no one that's going to fix it. There's no one that's going to make it better. So stand still and be your own salvation. I was like, when I heard those words in that song and when you started singing it, I was like, how did she know? Because I love that song. Stand still and be your own salvation. Go back to the beginning of who and what you are. So the journey for me is constantly a journey of going back to the beginning, going back to the truth, that I am created in the image and likeness of God, substance of God. That means that the very substance of my beingness came out of the divine blueprint of God Almighty, God All Beauty, God All Joy. That is who and what I am, and nothing else, no matter what I think, is real outside of that absolute truth. So every aspect of the journey has been a journey to continuously unfold, uncover the truth of who and what I am, and to release the falsehoods, the things that I have picked up along the way, the debris that has stuck, to kind of like shake it off, get rid of it, let it go, and get back to the core, get back to the center. And part of that is a journey. It's a truth journey, and it is the most magnificent experience of all life. It is the most magnificent. So we call forth all of these wonderful experiences, some of them not so fun-filled, some of them feeling very painful, some of them being ugly, some of them being messy, some of them being wonderful and magnificent and joy-filled. But every experience comes with a lesson. Every experience comes with something for me to unfold and uncover and go back to the truth about my own true self. That is true for me, and it's true for everyone in this room. It's true for all of us everywhere. No place where God is not, that means everywhere you are, there God is. Always with you, in presence, never in an absence. That is the truth, and there's nothing else. So here's what happens in my journey. What happens in my journey is, my thing is never just small and undignified with a little trip. Mine is always big, messy, and just all over the place, splattering to take me back to the truth of who I am. It's always that. And recently I had gone through this real dark night of the soul where I was really recognizing that I had picked up a lot of doubt, a lot of worry, a lot of fear, a lot of thinking that I was all that everything rested upon. So my children, I was their source, you know, and I was feeling very heavy and burdened and weighted down. And I went into this place of having to go back to where it is that I picked up these beliefs. Where did I pick up this idea that God was not my source? Where did I pick up this sense of aloneness, this sense of separation, and what was going on with me for me to be tapped back into that falsehood? I had been in the news a lot. I had been listening to, you know, the CNNs and the NBCs and all of them about, you know, what is wrong with the world. And I had stopped listening to what is right with the world. And I had stopped hearing the truth about love and light. And also, I had taken this journey into myself where I was locked and loaded on the broken places. And I was busy trying to think that I was the fixer of that. And I was so caught up in that darkness. And that was the place where I was living from, because I was in there sort of rummaging around in the basement without the lights out, you know, tripping over all the past experiences that I had not dealt with. Tripping over the places within my soul that I had not had the courage or the willingness or even the desire to go back and heal, to look at, not just survive, because life is not about surviving. It's about growing through and prospering and thriving. It's not just about getting through it. It's about growing through it. It's about living wholly and completely and fully. And when you do that, you're tapped into your soul, and you can't turn back. You can't. Once you know, you can't unknow. Like my friend says, you can't unring the bell. Once you know, you can't unknow. So you know the truth, and you're back in this place, and you're going back into places where there needs to be healing. And you gotta stop. This is why the topic is reset. You gotta stop. And you gotta step out of yourself and really go into the realization that there is only one power and presence. That power and presence is God Almighty. And if that is the absolute truth, then you are standing in the presence of God. And if that is the absolute truth, then it stands to reason that the thing that is feeling broken, that the thing that is feeling wounded, that thing is in the presence of God as well. And if that is so, then all you have to do is get out the way for the healing to unfold. Now it sounds really easy, right? Just get out the way. Let the healing happen. But in real truth, in fact, as human beings, we're locked and loaded on trying to be doers and fixers and trying to make it happen. So we think that there's something that we have to do beyond just believing, beyond just knowing. And so we get into the busyness, the busyness of trying to fix ourselves, and we do things, external things. We try to go to the gym, and we try to do all these other things, and there's value in going to the gym, there's value in eating well, and there's value in dressing nicely and feeling good when you look in the mirror. But when it becomes the way that you try to fix or heal the thing, then you're no longer focused on the truth that God is all there is, and there's a power and presence that's greater than you, and you are whole and complete. Therefore, every aspect of your beingness is healed already, and there's nothing really broken about the truth of who you are, because in the center of your soul there is perfection. You are a perfect divine expression of God, and if that is so, then you cannot be broken. But in the journey, we pick up wounds. In the journey, we pick up debris, and we have to address them. That's the truth. We can't spiritualize it. We have to go and look at it and address it. And most recently, as always, when I'm about to speak, it seems like I always try to find my topic by my behavior. and most recently, I had a complete meltdown into messiness. And when I say complete, it was not cute at all. There was no part of it that was even pleasant to be around. It was ugly, and it was a full meltdown. And at the time, the ego said, you should be ashamed of yourself. I can't believe you're behaving like that. Look at you, And so it was an opportunity. There I was standing in mess. And then I had an opportunity to either find a way to grow or to find a way to shame myself and cause myself more harm by joining the ego in the you should be ashamed of yourself, look at how you're acting. Or I could choose to say, what is this about? Why am I here? Why am I acting like this? And what has been called forth? And what I realized was I had to go back to my 16-year-old self, a place that I had not been in a while, and go revisit a hurt that I had not healed or allowed to heal within my own soul. A hurt that I had figured out how to grow around and pretend it wasn't there and move through, but not grow through. And I had to go back and embrace that part of my soul and say it's okay. And then I had to really come into an awareness of what had transpired at the time and the things that had happened that I had attached to, which were real or not real. And I had to really come into focus of, okay, that's not true about who you are. That's not true about who you are. That is also not true about who you are. And I had to come into that place and allow myself to really see that part of myself that had been living from that 16-year-old belief. And really say, okay, so this is why I'm here. I'm here to come and confront this wound that I had walked around and acted as if it did not exist. And I'm here now to come and embrace myself in this place and remind myself of who and what I am. Go back to the beginning. Go back to the truth. So that's what we have to do, is just go back to the truth. But we have to go and confront the thing that we had either picked up, attached to, allowed ourselves to believe as true, and we have to go back to the beginning of who we really are. Who we really are divine, magnificent beings. We are here for greatness. We are here to give love away. We are here to grow and to express the presence of God as our very lives. That is what we're here for. So when you're doing that, you're living full on and full out, and something happens and it bubbles up to the surface because you've actually called it forth, because now is the time to heal it. The conditions are ripe. Everything is ready, and here it comes rearing its head. Ugly or not so ugly, it rears its head, and you have to take it on, head on, and say, this is my life. I choose love. I choose joy. I choose happiness. I choose to know the value of who I am and not to be attached to past conditions, past experiences, past ways of being. I choose to be in the presence of who I am and know that the presence of God is my very life. This is what I'm choosing today. And then you step into that living, into practice. You start to treat yourself that way, and you start to condition your mind to know that truth about who you are, and to let go of the falsehoods, to let go of the, there were people that we're responsible for our upbringing. Well-intentioned as they may be, what may have been said may have been delivered incorrectly, or may have been delivered in a way that caused you to feel more hurt than wholeness. And those things, we got to learn to let go of them and recognize well-intentioned and all of that, that is not the truth about who I am. The truth of who I am is a perfect expression of God. And when I know this truth, I live my life from that place. And when I get distracted, because we all do, it's human, it's part of the journey. When I get distracted and I get off track, it's okay. You stop and you press the reset button. You press it. And you give yourself permission to begin again. And you start by renewing your connection to your divine identity. You start with prayer. You start with meditation. You sit still and you reconnect with who you are and shift the focus away from the foolishness that tells you that you're anything less than magnificent. Shift the focus away from anything that would tell you that you don't deserve, or it's because of this, or it's because of that. There are no things that it's because of, because you are magnificent. So it cannot possibly be that those things are true. You got to press reset. Renew your practices. Get into prayer. Get into meditation. Get into feeding your mind. This part, really important. Feeding your mind good things. Stop engaging in low-level conversations. Stop engaging in low-level things that you're listening to on the radio, things that you're reading, that it's all about anger and rage and violence, and start engaging in something that uplifts your soul, that tells you a truth about yourself. Watch programs that will enlift you. Read books that will enlift you. Feed your mind, because it's mind, body, spirit. It can't just be that you're all into spirit. You have to also be focused and balanced in mind and body. Don't just feed yourself and feed yourself. Feed yourself good things. Don't just sit in a place where you're prayer all the time. You cannot spiritualize your life. You have to get up and live your life in a complete sense of being. So you have to feed yourself and nurture your soul and feed your mind and feed your body. And you really have to refocus on your truth. Who you are is magnificent, whole, and complete. And as such, you deserve the very best. And you are not anything. And you know when you're off track, because you hear the idle mind chatter start saying things to you, and you feel the discomfort. And you feel like that might be true about me. I'm never going to have anything. I'm always going to be struggling. I'm never going to have anybody to love me. I'm always going to be alone. I'm always. No! That's not true. It's not true. And as long as that's where you're living from, that's what you're experiencing, because you're living from that belief system. You have to start to believe who you are is God's perfect divine expression as Chet. You are God's perfect divine expression as Bobby. You are God's perfect divine expression as Tanya, as Faith. As every person in this room, you are a divine idea. And if that is true, then live your life from that place. Because there is no other person on the planet like you. There is no other being like you, and the gifts that you have come to bring are necessary and important to the entire planet. So you have to go back to that focus, go back to that truth, to know that you were created in magnificence to thrive, to prosper, to be amazing. And if that is true, then live your life from that place. You shift into that focus. You shift into that knowing. And then you begin again. You begin again. You get back on the track. Or maybe not on that track. Maybe you need to be on another track. And that's why your butt got derailed in the first place. You need to get up and start living. So if you got knocked off and you feel like, oh, I'm off track, I got to get back on. Maybe you just take a moment, press the reset button, renew your focus, and then realize, that's not my track. Let's go the other direction. And be willing to change. Be willing. I used to say this all the time. Stay loose for change. Stay loose for change. Be willing to be open to changing your life. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to be locked in fear. You don't have to be locked in, I cannot, I may not, this is so hard. Be willing to get up, because you know what? The entire power of God is available to you in your life right now. There is scripture that says, don't you know, haven't I told you that you are God's? And if that is true, that means that I am created out of the magnificent power of the universe. It's all right where I am. So there is no need for me to ever be locked down in fear or a belief that says I cannot or I could not or I can't or I won't. There's always a yes, I can. I can do this. I can live fully. I can live holy. I can live magnificently. I can be loved. I am loving because I'm love itself. Expressed as me. I'm prosperity itself. Expressed as me. So I am an expression of all that the universe is. Think about that. The same God that holds birds up in the sky, keeps planets where they are, sources every blade of grass, every bumblebee, every elephant, every lion, every drop of water in the ocean. That God is sourcing and powering you right now. How magnificent you are. How magnificent we all are. That we get to stand and live our lives as an expression of the entire power of God. So if you're off track and if you're feeling that things aren't going so well, or if you're feeling that I just made a holy mess, you know, it's okay. Get up, brush yourself off. Press reset. Give yourself some time to just catch your breath. Figure it out, but don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck in the place of I've fallen but I can't get up. Get the heck up. Dust yourself off and get into your power. And get into the realization that in the core of who you are, there God is. That is what you're created from. Dust yourself off. Give yourself a chance to just renew. Sometimes you have to retreat to renew. Recently I had to just give myself a break from exercising so that I could get some more rest, so that I could really have some slumber, so that I could really take a moment and just allow my body temple to be at rest. And that's okay. You just take a time, you catch your breath, you renew again, and then you shift your focus back to the beginning, back to the truth that at one point God had a magnificent idea and then created you. And here you are. That's the beginning. And then you be your salvation. You stand in your truth. You stand in the awareness that God Almighty, God All Beauty, God All Joy, is all that I am and so much more than words can ever express. And from that place, you begin again. If you need to take baby steps, half steps, you just take steps and you begin again. Because all of who you are and the entire world is waiting for it. All of who you are is necessary and important. And if you weren't here, the world would be forever changed. So while you're here, do your thing. Go back to the beginning.